If ever I was to take a man in the battle, let him be a birder. For no man knows better the trees. General Bradley, August 25th, 1944. France. World War II. I've often heard people say that the lion is the king of the jungle. But, there's a lesser known fact, which is that the eagle is the king of the skies. Sky power always trumps land power. So, who's the real winner there? But I say this because, we're talking about what is ostensibly the largest raptor in existence. And I'm not talking about the dinosaurs, my friend. I'm talking about birds of prey. So the eagle has 20/50 vision. It's got a 400 psi grip, which is 10 times stronger than the average man's. It has 8 times the scope of the human eye. It can fly up to 10,000 feet in the air. This is an incredible machine of an animal, right? If it sees you and, you're a little mouse in the field, you're toast. Now, unlike the eagle, humans have a little bit more going on for them. We can think. We use our brains to rationalize, to analyze patterns. We use it to evolve, adapt, and overcome our obstacles, right? I mean, that's how we built the wheel. That's how we made the automobile. That's how we made the AR-15 assault rifle. That's how we built the frickin' space shuttle.
Ignition. We have liftoff.
So, checkmate, Eagles. We own the skies now. And for birders like us, though we may have conquered, eagles, right? Our journey, unlike the common man's, it's never over. We are always on the hunt for that next rare and exotic bird that we can track down using our senses that we've honed over our lifetimes to ultimately conquer. My name is Chet Tyson, and I'm sure you've heard of it before. From Forbes magazine, 30 under 30, or, MIT's Innovators Under 25, or even more recently, Birder of the Year 2024. But now you're about to know me from somewhere else, because this is Bird Goes Up. What is going on, my fellow birders? You're listening to your host, Chet, here of Bird Goes Up. You might know me as the former secretary to the CEO of Blackstone, the former chief leadership officer for BP Gas and Oil. How about founder of the Freedom Loving Coalition, the podcast hosting service you're listening to this on right now? Also, maybe potentially the deserved heir of the Tyson family fortune, despite what, certain relatives may think. I'm in the will, so, they can shove it. And yeah, you're listening to Bird Goes Up, my friends. Welcome to the best resource for what's hot, what's popping, and what's worth cold hard cash on the AV market today. We here at Bird Goes Up do not want to get into legal trouble, and we don't want you to get in legal trouble. So with that in mind, we're going to read a little legalese to keep the feds off our backs. Bird Goes Up does not endorse, indulge, or encourage the hunting, trapping, poaching, selling of birds per the Migratory Bird Act Treaty of 1918. When pursuing birds, please follow all federal and local laws, as well as, permits and property restrictions that are within. Consult all law enforcement officials, lawyers, or governments in your local area if you are uncertain about the legality of the actions you are about to commit. All right, so with that in mind, you're going to hear a lot of references to the value of a specific bird or, user comments about what are your thoughts about this bird I got? And really, we're talking about photographs. That's the primary value we're sort of extrapolating here for publications, private donors, that sort of thing. Nothing in the realm of trapping and hunting or selling. God forbid. I don't endorse that. The show doesn't endorse that. We really want to keep things clean here, for both, us and the viewer. So just keep that in mind throughout the episode. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the bounty board.
Yeehaw!
All right, let's see what's hot. Let's see what everybody wants right now. First up on the docket, we have the Alaskan gray-headed chickadee. So what's interesting about this and why it's so hot right now is because this baby is about to be extinct. That's right, folks. We're talking extinction, which is great news for you and I because that means money, baby. Yeah. Now, the only problem with getting our hands on this is that, as you guessed, it's in Alaska. And I don't know if you know anything about Alaska. I've been there a couple times. But it is a deadly tundra and barren wasteland. There's some trees and wildlife. There's some this beauty of splendor and all that. But that's not why we're interested in it, right? I was up there for mining rights. And let me tell you, it fucking sucked. For any lesser birder, right, that's going to be a dangerous and treacherous place. It's literally out in the middle of nowhere. That's why everybody thinks it's dead in the first place, because nobody can find it. I mean, it is a needle in a haystack situation. But the needle could still be there. You never know. And because of that, that means big bucks if you find it. And I know some of you out there are going to be a little bit risk adverse, right? I mean, this is Alaska, okay? It's not everybody's playground. But what are you doing right now? What, are you sitting at home? You're listening to this podcast? You're what? Surfing a channel? Doom scrolling? You should be out there. You need to grow a pair, my friend, and book yourself a one-way ticket to Alaska because you have resolve. Because you are going to find this bird. And you're going to go out there and you're going to be staking your claim on what is, I think arguably the current Mount Everest of birding, of ornithology, okay? Because if not you, it's going to be some other schmuck out there, maybe some other delightful listener of this podcast, or more likely, it's going to be a government-hired team that's going to get out there and get all the fame and glory, when it could be you. That could be your name going down in the avian history books. So just steel your mind and imagine all the fame, all the glory, all the accolades that are going to come your way for finding these guys. Untold riches. Untold riches. This is a bird that really you need to act on right now. Because even before, it was sort of pseudo-extinct, right? It was a hard bird to find. It lives sort of on the fringes. So there could be a group right now struggling to live. You sort of dilly-dallying here and flopping between, oh, gosh, should I not? It's going to die by the time you finally make up your mind, right? And then nobody's going to get anything. Nobody's going to get a good payout. Nobody's going to get their name in history books, all right? And more importantly, the bird's going to be dead. So good luck Frankensteining that back to life, because it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, and you're going to miss on your chance. So you just really need to get out there. I mean, what do they say? 99% of people give up before they hit it big. That's just good math, okay? So this is the time, this is the opportunity to stop weighing the risks, all right, and start weighing the rewards. Once in a lifetime chance right here. Do not pass it up. And since we're talking about, it being cold and whatnot, I want to remind folks that the seasons are changing. That means birds are migrating and heading down south. Now, this is a great opportunity for everybody who lives in the United States. And if you don't live in the greatest place in the world, I'm A, sorry for you. But B, even poor schmucks like you will have a good opportunity because they're heading down to the equator. And for those lucky to be in the United States and in the South, I mean, you're going to have a smorgasbord of good opportunities to find rare and beautiful migrating birds that are worth a lot. I mean, we're talking, what? Kirtland's warblers, probably? Elf owls, whooping cranes. Who knows? There's going to be a lot. So many, not as valuable as the ones I just mentioned, but they're still worth probably a decent penny. So I would get it out there. Now's the time to sort of go ahead and stake your claim, your area, and sort of keep your eyes and ears open in your little tent, waiting for these bad boys to come by, because really you're going to get some birds from all over, not native to your region, and it's just the best time of the year to get a quick buck. So be on the lookout and be ready. Now it looks like we got another opportunity to talk about setting up gear. Now, let's say you are setting up for this migratory action, right? I would recommend, and this is just me as an expert birder, in my many successes, I really chalk a lot of it up to the equipment I use. Now, if you know me, I only use the best of the best, and that is military-grade hardware, okay? I go to Rochester, I go to Avionics. I know the guy, the owner, Jim. We're good buddies, and, we sort of struck a deal where, I promote the store for him on the show, and, in turn, he does me a favor and gives me some stuff under market value, which, your mileage may vary on that, but still, you're going to want military-grade hardware. Go to your local supply depot for enthusiasts, companies trying to get rid of some stuff, selling MREs, that sort of things. And you'll probably find some really good ghillie suits there. Not at your local Cabela's or Bass Pro, whatever. You want the good stuff. Okay. This is not a one-time purchase. Well, it is at the point of purchase, but I'm saying it's not. It's like a car down payment, except you're paying it all in one. It's an investment. It's an investment that you're paying up front, but it's an investment because it's a lot of money, but at the same time, it's going to last you forever. I mean, I own 8 of these things. I have 2 for every season. 2 for every season, 1 for a different climate, and 1, and also it's always good to have a backup just in case the first one, it gets ruined in the field or who knows what happens. Maybe it's too wet and you go back out there for a 1-hour bird. And, speaking of, ghillie suits, right, now is the perfect time to sort of transition as we get into sort of the autumn and wintry to sort of change the camouflage that you're embedding into your suit. I personally like to use a lot of dead foliage, sort of the leaves. You want a little bit, subtle hints of, red and orange, especially as the colors begin to fall, though, of course, just depends on your area. If you live in the pines, do not use those colors. But yeah, and then, once the sort of season transitions more into winter, we'll sort of drop the colors and go for more of a palette of gray. You're going to want colors that are like, brown, a little bit of maybe some grayish tones. Obviously, if it snows, you're going to want white. But outside of that, maybe a little bit of more leaning towards black, some darker colors. And as you do move towards winter, again, move towards more of the white while keeping hints of brown, maybe some more sort of beiges and tones for like dead reed sort of things. It really all depends on the climate. So just keep that in mind. If it's nothing but snowing, go for it. You can go all white if you want. It really, you just want to blend in with your environment. From beige, dark to, dead stuff, whatever. And, you're going to want to wear these ghillie suits because really when it comes to birding, there are 3 big sort of areas in which the bird has the advantage, and that's, seeing, that's hearing, and that's smelling, right? You can only control so much, and with the ghillie suit, I mean, if they can't see you, that leaves sort of the realm of control more in your possibility, right? There's scent masking, there's, you can buy better boots, or sort of, don't step on the obvious twig in front of you, you know what I mean? And that's what birds are so, again, going back to, they can't really think as well as us, right? So if they see a bush, they're not going to freak out because the way birds evolved is to be reactive. They're not rationalizing, a bush is walking towards me. No, they're going, that's normal for my terrain. That's a bush. I'm not going to freak out. Now, if they smell you, maybe, or if they hear you, but they're not going to see you because there's going to be a ghost out there. And that's going to really up your chances of getting up and close and personal. So ghillie suits, get at least 3. I have 8. Wonderful addition to your collection. It will make you 100% a better birder and help you climb the ranks and become more professional. Okay, Bird Goes Up is going to be right back after this quick sponsorship break.
Don't trust an institution such as the bank after the 2008 stock market crash. Petrodollar got you down, weighing your options. Not a huge fan of gift cards. Well, here at Michael's Meats, we're building the world's first delicatessen run entirely on a decentralized currency. That's right. When you walk into our Broadway Avenue location, you won't even need to bring your wallet, just your digital one. Using our kiosk at the front or the encrypted Michael Meats app, you can exchange real-world money for our brand new sandwich coin. Using blockchain technology, we've converted each level of the sandwich coin into a real-life U.S. currency equivalent. $100? More like one bison coin. Or $50? How about some steak coin for ya? Not satisfied? Well, don't worry. We even have rabbit coin. That's the equivalent of $20. And who could forget snake coin at $10? Or duck coin for a $5. You hear that? Sounds to me like turkey coin at $2. And back at the George Washington, we got pork coin. But why stop there? We can even go further with meat-themed cents. $50, more like chicken coin. Or how about the 25-cent tuna coin? Any dime fans in the house? That's a salmon coin for you. Fan of the nickel? Well, this'll tickle you.
Bacon.
That's right. The nickel's an equivalent of bacon coin for 5 cents. And down at 0.1 cent, we got spam coin. $100, more like 10,000 spam coins. Wait, is that right? Hold on, let me do the math on that. Yep, that's right. Wow, this sounds a lot like the U.S. currency system. Well, I hear ya. So we've even brought back Grover Cleveland and McKinley for alpaca and lamb coin. That's $1,000 and $500. Respectively, for people who aren't familiar with retired U.S. currency. And the Michael Meats Empire is just getting started. First, you'll be buying our sandwiches with sandwich coin. But we're not stopping there. Imagine a future where you can order your groceries through the Michael's Meats apps and then, on the way, have your driver prepare a sandwich from the groceries you ordered and then delivering it to your doorstep. So not only will you have your groceries, but you'll also have, like, your food for that night, and you won't have to cook it, and it'll just be done. Now that's just one exciting innovation we've got cooking up over here at Michael's Meats. Today, deli meats. But tomorrow, global manufacturing solutions. Ready to buy into this savory opportunity? Visit our flagship store and use code BIRDGOESUP for an extra 5 cents conversion USD to sandwich coin. This offer is only valid for the first 250 participants, so get your butt on down here. And if you're hungry, you can try our new Salami Delight sandwich, featuring slow roasted salami, a dollop of honey mustard, fresh cut sun-dried tomatoes, head of iceberg lettuce, and provolone cheese on rye bread. Only $12.99 sandwich coin.
All right, back from the break, let's take some questions from our audience. All right, this one's from user Shrimp Jesus. Thoughts on the Southern Red Bishop? Now, Euplectus oryx, the bird in question, is the one shown here in the picture is a small male red black bird coming out of Africa. And other factoid is the sound oryx actually comes from oryza, which means rice in Latin. So just a little tidbit for you, for all you birders out there. But overall, this bird is not the biggest catch in the world. It's not very interesting, I'll say. It's pretty common in the wetlands of Africa. I would say if you're in Africa and sort of dealing with there, its value is probably going to be around $50, depending on the local market and how it fluctuates. Outside of its natural habitat, where anybody can't just get out by going outside, I'd say the value is only going to skyrocket. It'll go up exponentially the further you are away from the point of origin. I got a guy in Chicago. We talked shop about birds. He particularly says that, something like this from that area, probably worth, double or triple that. So, we're talking upwards of 200. So really not terrible option. But if you're down bad, and you need money now, that's an avenue you could take. However, I would just say go for something more enticing, because it'll be worth more your time, your effort, and by doing it, you'll become a better bird in the process. All right, this one's from user E5X 2012. Cool name. They want to know what my favorite tranquilizer gun is. Now, E15X 2012. I think it's pertinent to remind everybody at home that, this is a show talking about the price of birds. From purely sort of a analytical, sort of, stock funding, sort of open market perspective. And this perspective is rooted in the sale of, photos, portraiture. So really when we're talking about a bird's value, we're talking about its value as a artwork. I don't encourage using a tranquilizer gun on a bird and trying to sell it or something. No. Well, we're just reporting on prices, okay? Perspective, speculative. It's just what the market is and how it fluctuates. So again, don't condone, encourage, or really advocate for any of that. That being said, outside of that, perhaps if you want to use this for, your local cattle, or is there a wild animal that you need to return to the local authorities or a shelter of some kind, I would probably go with the G2X. It's, around, $2,250, but you can get extension for it, barrel-wise. It's lightweight, grips on it's good, it's very ergonomic. It feels good in firing. It's not very loud. It's going to let you get a long, accurate shot from far away, which is really what you want. You don't want to engage close with any sort of animals that can maybe harm you. The thing is that the manufacturers of this also manufacture, darts. So really, it's a one-stop shop, and they're worth what? What's the one my guy in Chicago uses? He uses Type U, I think, half-inch. Version 10, I believe. That's his go-to. Of course, you can kind of, depending on what you're firing at, obviously you're going to want to adapt to it. But it's for 33. It's per dart sort of a package. I think there's 5 in each one. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for the market right now. So overall, with the extension, with the cartridge, it's really going to come out to around 3,000, but honestly, you're going to have a tranquilizer gun that you can use on your farm or for like bears and stuff that are trying to attack you if you go camping or something. I don't know, whatever the law is, make sure you're following it, because, we don't want to get any legal trouble here. But yeah, it's a good tranquilizer gun. I would recommend that one. From user Golden Finches, they want to know my thoughts on the bird they just got. So let's take a look here. Some sort of white... Oh, no, not just any white owl. No, that is a snowy owl, I believe. Oh, my God. Whoa. Oh, Golden Finches. You're really knocking it out of the park. This is an amazing find. For those who aren't in the know, you could tell by the feathering, right? The speckled sort of... It's not completely white, right? So it must be a female with the flecks on its feathers. Yeah. So the snowy owl is a migratory... nomadic bird. It's also blends into sort of a tundra environment because it's up in the north. Tracking it down is really hard. So the fact that Golden Finches was able to do it is really quite impressive. It's a nocturnal animal too. So really you're gonna have a miserable time no matter what trying to find one of these bad boys. This is a really rare bird. Looks like it's in excellent condition. Bird looks great. It's such a challenge to even find one, even for like an experienced birder like me, right? It takes a lot. It's one of the largest of the owls, but, with the aforementioned traits, it still is not the easiest catch. And, funnily enough, the effects of climate change, are probably only going to make this bird, well, it could go two ways. It could go, one, it makes it harder because there's less birds down because its habitat's kind of gone or its food sources dry up until, more die. But the flip side of that, right, is its value goes up, even if it does get more scarce and more hard to track down. The other side of that coin, right, is maybe it moves to sort of new territories, and if it's able to thrive there, not only is it easier to access, its value does go a little bit down, but by making it easier to access, you're going to make up that cost because you're going to be able to actually find them regularly. It's about, if I recall, there's 28,000. I think there's 28,000 still left in the wild. That's the estimated number. It's IUCN vulnerable. The price on this, the value is going to be statistically quite higher than a lot of other things just based on those facts. And who knows how it'll fluctuate, but as of right now, you're looking at a really good payout. And depending on the market, I think it could easily go anywhere between 20 to 50K. It's really, really an excellent find, Golden Finches. I commend you on this. Go enjoy your payout, my friend. Wow. Not every day you see one of those. Now, as a reminder, guys, these questions are coming straight from the Bird Goes Up community Discord. Access is currently restricted to fans who got on the ground floor, right when we started. But, for just $10 a month, you can join our Patreon and receive exclusive access to the best community for birding on the planet. Now, not only do we have the opportunity to meet like-minded birders who are just as ambitious and experienced as you, if not more so, you'll be able to receive episodes early. You'll be able to listen in on the audience portion, like right now. And on top of that, on every second Tuesday of the month, we have community Discord night. I hang out, I talk shop, ask me questions about, your 401k, about birding, best tailors in New York, that sort of thing. I am just chock full of information and ready to spill my wisdom with you at a moment's notice. So feel free to hop in. For subscribers at the $15 tier, we also have an exciting new opportunity, the closed alpha for Bird Goes Up's latest innovation, Bird AI. That's BERD AI. And truly, this is probably one of the most exciting projects on the horizon, not only in the terms of Bird Goes Up, but in the birding world at large. So, we've partnered with our friends over at Zhaijian over in China. We're using their amazing data centers. They're just wonderful Swedish partners I know. It's really been beneficial between both of us. And we're working really hard to bring together this incredible tool, which will, I think, change your life and make even the most sort of milquetoast people out there semi-professional birders if they use it properly and really commit themselves to it. It's really going to change the industry forever. More details about this exciting opportunity are going to be released in the coming weeks and months, so continue to be on the lookout for more information. We'll be posting about it here over the announcements page, on our socials, and through the Bird Goes Up podcast. So keep your ears open and subscribe and get access to what is going to, honestly, change the world. Okay, let's look at some more questions here. We have one from Bryce JT88. They want to know my thoughts on their attempt to go after the African penguin. So that's a really great question. So I've dealt with penguins before. I've done little penguin all the way to the southern rockhopper. Nothing really has not crossed my purview. But, penguins, the wonderful thing about them is that they're always going to be unique birds compared to a lot of other species in there because they are so lucrative, right? There is a lot of capital socially penguins have with humanity, with society. Think about Happy Feet, right? Think about Club Penguin. There's so many kids in the 2000s. That's a core memory for them. People love penguins. Go to your local zoo. They're going to be advertising them like crazy. So any penguin is a good penguin in terms of value. It's always going to be a safe investment. Especially as time goes on, and sort of their habitats shrink, stuff like that. It's only going to get better, right? Especially with IUCN critically endangered species like the African penguin. But that said, I really would beg a word of caution. Because, this bird is a gold mine. It's just sitting there, right? It's just sitting there. But because of the aforementioned, status, there's restrictions probably on its property and what equipment you can bring in and things like that. So no matter what you do in this scenario, you're probably going to get in trouble with local authorities and have an involuntary stay behind bars. I would probably, if you're not okay risking that, if you don't have sort of the resources, if you don't have the know-how, the knowledge, who to talk to, whose hands to shake, that sort of thing, I would probably not go after this bird. Because if shit hits the fan, you're shit out of luck. And I would really leave it to professionals who ask for the permits, the know-how, and the experience for that kind of bird. That being said, there's a lot of other birds out there with lower risk margins who maybe not as valuable, but there's maybe half as valuable. I would go for that maybe, but I don't control you. I don't condone anything illegal, as always. As I always like to say. So do what you think is right and when purview of the law. And Godspeed, Bryce JT88. Godspeed, because really, who am I to tell you what to do? You're the master of your destiny, my friends. Do what you feel is right. And yeah, great question. Okay, we got a couple more birds to look at here before we sort of wrap up this episode here. Looks like user Hamsteroids wants to know the value of their first bird. Well, hey, we got a first birder over here in the chat. Congratulations. Wow. What a step in your journey. I remember my first bird. So it's always a huge milestone. So, I'm proud that you have taken the step to really sort of not only better yourself, right, but to become more connected with nature, your inner self, your primal man, just by getting off the couch and out there into the wild and looking at birds and stuff. So you're a natural hunter. So let's hear it for brother Hamsteroids, okay? And let's see your catch. Let's see your catch. Oh, is this the right? Okay. Yeah, that's for people who can't see. This is just a dove, the rock dove to be exact. The thing you see on the sidewalk in a city street. Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll talk about the rock pigeon or dove or fucking whatever. This is a bird that is literally everywhere. It's worth $50. Maybe it's pocket change at best. It's the only one in your picture, so I guess that's what your. Looks like its wing is broken, maybe, or it doesn't look very healthy. Its feathering is not consistent. Maybe that's why we were able to pick it up like that in the photo. If that's the case, then really it's not even worth $50. I don't even know what it's worth. Yeah, so if I'm being honest, this is a really shitty bird to start with, because it's no hate to the bird, but if we're talking money here, we're talking value. This is the white red of the birding world. It's grass. It's green grass. There's plenty of it. Nothing special. I mean, it'd be one thing if it was like a European starling or even a northern cardinal. Because cardinals have that male cardinals have that red right hue. Over in winter, that really pops since the snow. Everybody loves it. They take photos of it. They post it. But yeah. So this is a okay. For example, let's I'll tell you about my first bird. Okay, my first bird was a golden parakeet. The Queen of Moravia Conure, as it's also known. Really good bird, excellent bird. I was out in the Amazonian rainforest. Just saw it from afar. It's gorgeous coloring. It's, these birds live a long life. They have the IUCN vulnerable status, so it's a pricey bird. A lot of value stock-wise if we're talking on the bird exchange. But it's. I think I made, what was it, $25K from that? Very lucrative, very beautiful bird, very respectful bird. Not a rock dove. I mean, and I was down there. When I was down there, I did ayahuasca for the first time. It's actually a part of our local culture, But so anyway, I did the ceremony right with this wonderful man, and it's like after it happened, my senses sort of just opened and they sharpened permanently. I received an upgrade, or I unlocked something that was buried deep within me. And so throughout this trip, I'm able to feel the heartbeat of the jungle. I can, my senses are directing me like a compass, pointing me to this bird. And so it was just a natural instinct for me to find it and for it to be my first one. And that's how I was able to predict where it was. That's how I was able to become a better birder and a better businessman, because I unlocked a seventh instinct, a seventh sense, if you will, for just knowing how things are going to be. And really, I encourage everybody to sort of do a similar ceremony to really unlock what I think we've lost a part of ourselves as sort of evolution has gone on. It's been buried away, and really you need to do ceremonies like this to sort of unlock that and to excel not only in like business or personal life, but also in your hobbies and just every facet of the human experience. I mean, yeah, because because using that money from that fine, I was able to negotiate some really good business deals with some, local loggers who were logging the Amazon there around that area, and using that money, the timber from that, I was able to sort of build my own ayahuasca resort that I have 50% of the shares in currently, between me and the gentleman that sort of did the ceremony for me. So if you're ever over down in the Amazon, right, and you're looking to sort of become a better birder, better human, to just upgrade your level completely, I would definitely check out Nature's Embrace Ayahuasca Experience Resort. Your buddy Chet owns a little bit of it, so you go. Not only you're helping me, which is inadvertently helping out the show, you are becoming a better human and unlocking really your ultimate potential within yourself. And it's not only going to increase every aspect of your life, from socially, mentally, monetarily, bird-wise, your game's going to increase at least tenfold. But back to what Hamster was just saying. Yeah, so the dove is like, that dove's not worth 50, but a good rock dove is like 50. That one, I don't know, like $5 maybe. I'm surprised if anybody would take it at all. Maybe somebody will like eat it or something. I don't know. Okay, now here's a really impressive bird that you won't just find in your backyard like Hamster would say. User John Kramer's my dad. Looks like they wanted to show off an Andean condor. An incredible bird. What are my thoughts on it? Well, my thoughts are good job. Seriously, you are a dyed-in-the-wool birder, my friend. This is a big bird to get, both in its size and sort of value-wise, because unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, conservation efforts have affected this sort of bird's population. So the scavenger, it used to be vulnerable. Now it's near threatened, but it's at a point in near threatened where it's really close to vulnerable. So I think there's only 10,000 or so in its sort of whole population. So it's not like you're dealing with like a starling or something, right? Or whatever bird Hamster steps on when he goes outside. Sorry. I'm not trying to drag on you, man. It's just you picked like the McDonald's of birds. It's. I mean, if you want to thrive as like a birder, you're just gonna need to find better birds. You're gonna need to put some more effort in, because that is baby's first bird, my friend. That is putting the square peg in the square hole. You got to try it just a little bit harder. I mean, you want to prove yourself, right? I mean, look at what John Kramer's my dad did. He got a condor that's worth probably around 2.5 to 5K. I mean, and that could be you one day. It may be potentially. I don't know. You could be doing rock doves the rest of your life. I don't know. But anyway, I digress. John Kramer's my dad. That's a great bird. Fantastic bird. Good job on getting that. I'm proud of you. Okay, looks like we got one more up here in the chat. We have from James R. He's got a common grackle. Now, I know you're hearing common grackling going, dude, this is just rock dove 2.0, right? Hold your horses. Well, not immediately impressive. We're maybe looking, again, around like the 50 mark. Probably a little bit of it, maybe like 60. For those who don't know, the grackle, dark and blue North American bird, their status is what makes them interesting. Because look at NatureServe, right? Their conservation status is G5, which is as secure as it can get. That is not something we want to see. At least for bird goes up for the environment. Yeah, boo-hoo, big win. Oh yay!
Wow, that's amazing.
But, according to the IUCN, the bird is actually at a near-threatened status. So there's a bit of discrepancy. What's that say? I don't know, but it's very interesting. I think it'd be very prudent to sort of pay attention to this bird. And listen, I've worked in oil and gas, right? I got some context there. The world's not going to get any better in terms of, energy wise, right? So what's going to happen sooner or later, right? More than likely is because this bird is most likely near threatened, it's going to get vulnerable. And then you're going to have a really good payout. So, with fossil fuels still being used and, logging rights for our national forests and sort of, state parks, that sort of things being offered up, I would really keep your eyes peeled. I would say, James, I would look for a different bird, but I would keep this in your back pocket because I really do think this bird's value is going to skyrocket real soon. Real soon. So, yeah, just revisit it, maybe, 6 months, however much time, and move on to something a little bit more enticing in the meantime. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for us here at Bird Goes Up. Thank you so much for tuning into the inaugural episode. We've really built a wonderful community here, and I'm so happy to have your support and your ears. And, everybody in the Discord is such business-minded and action-oriented birders, and I'm really excited to not only watch our platform here grow, but you as individuals grow. So follow us again, if you're new here, at Bird Goes Up on all your favorite social media apps. If we're not on there, we're probably there as Bird Goes Up 1. We've been banned a couple times, but it's fine. Remember to join the Discord to, support the show, get early access to episodes, talk to me, talk to fellow birders. For those at the $15 tier, you'll also get access to the closed alpha for Bird AI whenever that comes out. So just be on the lookout and hop in. This has been Bird Goes Up. I'm Chet Tyson, and before we go, I'll give you this last nugget of wisdom. The most important quality in a bird watcher is the willingness to stand quietly and see what comes. Our everyday lives obscure a truth about existence, that at the heart of everything there is a stillness and a light. Lynn Thompson, Birding with Yeats, A Mother's Memoir. Godspeed and good night, folks.
This podcast has been brought to you by FLC Media.